Actually is such a sneaky little word. Sometimes it's all hype. Wait, could I actually do this? Yeah, you can. Sometimes it's the annoying one, like when someone's on stage with their 10-step success story and you're in the back listening saying, okay, that's awesome, but how did you actually do it? And sometimes it's your own business calling you out. Really cute plan, but are you actually going to do it? So this is the whole show. I'm Lonnie Jackson, and this is Actually, where we skip past feeling just inspired and get to what actually works and gets us out of stuck and takes the actions that's going to get us to the next level we want to go, because everyone has got the steps. The steps were never the secret. It's the actions that we actually do. So are we actually going to do this? Yeah, we are. Let's go. Okay, my friends. So when I say systems, I know what happens. Someone's eyes are going to glaze over and they're going to be thinking spreadsheets and software and some color-coded thing that they're never going to keep up with. And listen, I get it. I do not love spreadsheets. They're my nemesis. Claude is my best friend when it comes to spreadsheets. But let's go back to systems. Well, here's what I mean when I say systems. Systems save lives. And I'm not being dramatic here, my friend. I say this constantly to my clients and when I'm speaking in rooms in a joke kind of way, but also I'm very serious, because the woman running a business with no systems is not just losing time. She's the one lying awake at 11 o'clock at night running through everything she might have forgotten. She's the one who can't be sick. She's the one who cancels the thing with her kid because something at work needed her and only her. She's the one that is juggling a team that doesn't seem to be getting anything done and feels like they're constantly dropping the ball or they're not communicating. And that's not a time problem. That's her whole life. So yes, systems save time and they save energy, but what they're really saving is you. But before we go into one more step, I have to say this, because if I don't, this entire episode might land wrong. I want to say this loud and clear. Productivity is not the goal of systems. It never was. Somewhere along this social media way and this new world of all these tools and gadgets and apps and iPhones and AI, it's turned into a badge of honor to be busy and do more things. Like, you can add so much more because I'm so productive. Well, now I can do more and do more and do more. And we brag about it. And someone asks how you're doing. And it's, oh my gosh, I'm so busy. And we say it like we won something, or that is an accolade that gives us value. And I'm not throwing stones, because I have also been that woman. So definitely don't feel attacked here, because I'm also calling myself out. I've been proud of a week that nearly took me out. And, I have 6 kids and we have kids on the spectrum. We have things going on in our life all the time. And that is true. But let's be real. There is nothing impressive about getting 47 things done and then sitting in your car in the driveway because you can't make yourself walk in the door yet. That is not productivity. That's just a well-organized burnout, my friends. Let me repeat that. Are you in well-organized burnout? And this is why I'm putting this us in here, inserting after we start something, we stop something, to scale next. We need the systems. Again, productivity isn't the goal. So if it's not the goal, then what is? I want to give you 4 words, because these are what I actually want for you, and they're what I want for me in my business and in my life in business integration. So here are the 4 words. Flexibility, number 1. That when something comes up, and it will, you can move. I jokingly say I threw the word consistency out of my business back in 2018. I just was like, I erased it from the dictionary. Consistency is not a thing I even acknowledge, because the only thing consistent is that my children will interrupt me. So I need flexibility because kids get sick. My body changes. I get sick myself because I caught it from them. You get an opportunity that you see coming. You have a car breakdown. You have a client that changes their needs. All kinds of stuff. We can go on and on and on. I like the end of the year, May. Oh my gosh, I am so glad I had flexibility in my business and in my systems, because the amount of things that the school did not tell me was happening until the very last minute was mind blowing. I was like, seriously, guys, do not tell me one more thing. But the question is, can your business bend with your life and the real life that it is, or does it everything break the second you step out of routine? Because if it does, you're constantly going to be feeling like you're behind. And I really do feel like the flexibility piece on the flip side is the feeling of behind. When I feel behind, it's because I haven't been flexible, and I am dependent on the rigidity of my routine in order to feel successful or to make things work. So that's number one, flexibility. Number two, sustainability. Can you do this at this pace next year or 6 months from now or even a month from now? Not can I survive it? It's can I actually keep doing it? Because a lot of what we call growth is just a pace no one else can hold. And we find that out in about 18 months in when you burn out. When you think about your business and a strategy or something you want to add into it, you have to think about what is the sustainability of this. Now, that doesn't mean we don't go into sprint seasons, and I'll talk about that, I'm sure, in a future episode. But there are seasons that do require a little bit more from us and a little bit more push, whether you're launching something or producing something. Maybe it's a season where, like with my son, he was a senior. So it was a sprint season with the end of the year because it was a lot more than what's normal. But that is not our new normal of crazy overdrive. Everything is super packed. That is not sustainable. So really being intentional to ask yourself with a system you're putting into place, is it sustainable? Because if it's not, then it's not the right system for me. Then scalability, that's the next word. This is the question. Can this get bigger without you getting smaller? When I say scalability, it means the thing I'm wanting to scale can get bigger without minimizing me, my energy, how it's growing, all the things. That's the whole thing we've been talking about this season. Expansion, not contraction. If I'm going to scale something that doesn't feel good now, it's going to feel even worse when it gets bigger. So that's why I want to do this gut check of the systems we're putting into place. And then the last one is abundance. And I don't just mean money, although yes, I mean money too. You've heard me talk about the 4 profits that I focus on when I'm coaching a woman in business or anyone in business is, does this bring me more income, more time, more energy, more fulfillment? So I mean room, margin, enough that you're not making every decision from scarcity and panic. Abundance in your time, your energy, your options, the fulfillment. So that's what systems are for, to give you all of those, not just to make you a more efficient version of exhaustion. Let me say that again. Systems are not to make you a more efficient version of exhausted. They're there to buy those 4 things. If a system isn't giving you flexibility, sustainability, scalability, and abundance, then why are you building it? And that is what this episode is going to be all about. Now that we've gotten that clear on what we are actually after, we've got to clear out some beliefs, because I've never met a woman who thought systems were a bad idea. Just in general, I do believe women are the best at building out some really awesome systems. And if you've not built systems in your business, girl, you already have experience, because you have put hundreds of systems into place that you don't even realize you've done. Because if you own a home or an apartment or whatever you live in, you have put systems into place. You put systems into your makeup routine, your cooking, your cleaning, all of the things, your kids' routines. You have systems that you use. And so just keep that in mind. You have all the skills, okay? The one thing I hear from creatives and visionaries is also a belief issue that if I put a system on it, it's going to kill the magic. So that's one thing that I get pushed back right away. I'm like, we need a system. They're like, oh, but then that'll make it too rigid. But girl, no. A system is what protects the magic. It handles the part that never needed your brain. So your brain is free to do the part that it does need to do. You're not creative at your best at 11 at night doing invoices for most of you. And even if you are good at that and you're a night owl, I understand. But the goal is to give you freedom and flexibility, not to keep you up all night. If you like being up, then be creative. Make that your creative time, not your invoicing time. Belief number 2 is I'm too small for systems. So maybe you're waiting to put a system into place until you have that big team or until you hire that next hire. But the system is what makes hiring work. If you hire someone into a business with no systems, you did not hire help. You hired a person who now has to ask you 40 questions a day. I see this mistake happen, and I'm raising my hand right now, y'all, in admission that was my mistake with my first hire. Is I was like, oh, I'm going to hire somebody and they're going to take all the things I don't want to do and they're going to do them and I'm going to have so much time. And because I did not have a system in place that they could come in and integrate and take over, and for the budget that I had, they did not have the skills to build the system. They could have executed it, but because I didn't have it in place, I ended up giving them, I call it handing out Skittles one at a time of a to-do list, which is exhausting and really not supportive. It's like a toddler who you're trying to get to pick up the living room. You can't tell them to pick up the whole living room. They don't know how to do that. They don't have the skills to do it. They've not got the experience. They don't know how you want it done. So you have to be like, pick this one thing up, put it over there, and then watch them do it. Nope, we've got to put it away this way. Oh, we have to put it all the way in the drawer and close the drawer. It just takes up so much energy to supervise them. So if you've ever made a hire and you're like, this was such a waste of my time and money, it feels like I'm paying them to do work I could have just done in the first place, it's probably because you thought you were too small for a system and you didn't have it in place. Belief number 3 that I want to debunk real quick is systems means software. All right. I have to say this because people go and buy all kinds of things. There's so many softwares now, including AIs and tools that are just coming out the woodworks. And I love it. That's great. They can really be amazing. But a system can also be a very simple, repeatable checklist that you just do every single week. It can be a way that you run your week. And at the end of Friday, you do a recap and reset for Monday. And that doesn't take anything but just an intentional routine that you're doing over and over again. It could be a recurring block on your calendar for CEO time, like we talked about several times now. Putting that CEO time on your calendar. That is a system that you follow to create sustainability, flexibility, scalability, and abundance. So if you have that, maybe you just document on a Google Doc, here is the SOP, the order of operations that I'm doing this task in, so I don't have to remember every time, what do I do next? Because most of what runs a business is not very fancy or complicated. And it's really simple. I sometimes question myself, and I'm just going to pull back the curtain because we're going to actually tell the truth. There are times when I look at somebody and I'm like, oh man, they're so impressive and they have done so many things and they're so skilled and they're so smart and they have so many degrees and I don't know, how could I even help them? Am I even qualified? But when I get into the nitty gritty with them, I realize it's really simple. Their business is just as simple as the next person in line, and it's not fancy. It just needs to have a recurring clarity, pieces of the business broken down so that we don't have to use all of our brain power to remember it. And then here's belief number 4. I'll build systems when things calm down. This one, I just can't. When things calm down. And I am going to raise my hand because I literally just said this to somebody before I got on this call. So I'm laughing extra hard. Is like, when things get settled down and back to normal, then I'm going to join this community that I've been saying I was going to join for months. But things are not going to calm down. Things don't calm down, and then you build a system. You build a system, and that's how things calm down. It's backwards. And that is why people stay stuck for years, because we build the system in the chaos when it's chaotic and we don't really have time. And that is what makes it so that you can get things done. And Trello really, that is how I got my systems into place with Trello, which is my project management system that I use personally. And I have a lot of templates for it. I call it the gateway drug to systems because it's really pretty. It's like a to-do list and a poster board and sticky notes, had a baby online. And it also is visually appealing. So I like it because it's very simple and a lot of people can adopt it really quickly. It's great for solopreneurs and teams. And I'm an extra cool mom because Fortnite also uses Trello. So I just have to put that out there. But building that system out, when I did it back in 2017, I did not have time to build that system. But I put the effort into it and built it. And that is what was necessary in order for me to be able to use it and to get things clear about what I needed to do. And that leads me into belief number 5 is if I build it once, I'm done. A system is a living thing. It's going to need adjusting when your business changes. And also, it doesn't work unless you work it. I'm sorry, novel thought. So those Trello boards that I told you I built in 2017, I built them all. I was so proud. And then I didn't look at them for 6 months. And you know what they did for me? Nothing. They did nothing because I didn't use the system. I didn't update the system. I didn't experience the system to be able to tweak it to be more efficient for the goals and actions that I was doing on a week-to-week, month-to-month basis. So it took the time to build it so that I could have the results, but then I didn't sustain the action of using the system. It's not going to do anything for you. It's going to just sit there and you're going to either pay for it or it's going to be a waste of time. So when I actually started using the system and I set my alarm every day for 9 a.m. and it said, check Trello. My only goal was to open the app. That was my only goal. Because I was in mom burnout mode at the time and business burnout in tandem. Great thing. And I needed to get out of it. So I set that alarm, my only goal, 9 a.m., check Trello. And because I had the system in place, it was thinking for me. Now all my thoughts were there, clear and ready to go in the order of what I needed to do things and in intention, importance, etc. So then I was able to then take action without thinking for an hour and a half, which sometimes I would just waste time just figuring out what to do. Because as a CEO, a business owner, whatever stage in business you are, whether you are a solopreneur or have a team of 50, deciding what to do day to day in real time is exhausting because everything will get your attention and shining objects and squirrels and interruptions will take everything from you. And then you wonder what happened to your day and you feel like nothing got done. It's because you aren't working the system. So just remember, if you feel like, oh, my systems don't work for me, well, maybe it's because you're not using them. It needs some love. It needs some attention. You can't build it once and be done. Next belief that we're going to talk about is, this one is the expensive one, is a system will fix this. All right. Sometimes the thing that is draining you does not need a system. It needs to go away. And building an elaborate system around something that shouldn't exist in the first place just makes the wrong thing permanent and way harder to get rid of later. So before you build the system, go back to the last episode and ask if it should exist. Should it even exist before you ask how to make it run better? And that is why I asked that question of like, should I stop this? Should I even start it? If I start it, what system is it going to require to be able to execute it and actually bring me a profit in all 4 areas of time, energy, income, and fulfillment? If I am not clear about that, and as I start to build out that system, I can see that it's going to deplete me and contract me, it is not worth building. So really important to ask that question. Again, all of these beliefs, whether you believe all of them or have had that belief in all of them or felt it or just one of them, it brings up a lot of feelings. Systems are really great things. And we as women are targeted to be more productive, to do more, to be more efficient, all of those. But it's all valuable. Don't get me wrong. I love a good system. I love a good tool. But I don't want you just to build the systems to build the systems. And as a mom of a lot of kids, a big old buttload of children, a house to run, we have to have systems in place. We thrive on them. We can't just run on vibes because we would run on chaos, which we do. Let's just admit it. We're like 25% chaos, 75% systems. Nobody would tell you just to wing it with the school year with all these kids. Yet women are trying to wing it with a whole dang business that they want multiple 6, 7, and 8 figures from. And we're just willy-nilly doing things. Or we are still running our business like we are startups and we're making multi 6, 7, and 8 figures and wondering why things keep crashing and falling through the cracks and breaking. It's because we haven't updated the systems. So let me be real and honest with you, because I'm not going to sit here and tell you systems are all upside. There are ways that things go sideways, and I've done most of them. For example, you build this big, beautiful thing, and now maintaining the system is a whole job, okay? If your system takes more time to run than the thing it replaced, it's not a system. If we built a system to take over your social media because you want to be more present on social media, and then it's taking away all of your time because you keep getting stuck in Canva doing hours and hours and hours of graphics, that's a job. You just made yourself another job. All right. So be careful of that. Another pitfall is the automation rabbit hole. And again, with AI right now, there's so many ways you can automate right now. I'm always learning something new, and they're just mind-blowing what these AI tools can do, whether it's Zapier or Claude. It does real work for you, and it can do real work on the background. But I have absolutely spent 4 hours setting up something that I could have just done in 20 minutes for the rest of the year. Right? It's not something that was really going to make an impact on long term. It was just this one automation for a tiny little thing that wasn't going to be done over and over again. So I need to watch out for that. Don't go just automate everything that doesn't need to be automated. Be really intentional about what does need to be automated, and then making sure I get that set up. If it's something that is a one-off, don't spend all your time automating it. Another pitfall is that you are the system still. This is the sneaky one. You built the process, but it only runs if you're the one running it. So what actually happens the week that you're unreachable, or when you actually finally go take your vacation, you're going to be on your phone while your kids are in the pool. You're just gone. You're going to have to check out, because when you are the system, it's going to break when you're not there. And that becomes your ceiling. It becomes the cap that it doesn't matter how good your marketing is. You can only grow as much as the system that can handle. And if you are the system, there's only so much you can handle. And let's just be honest about that. And I know I've done that to myself, where I'll take on that part because I can do it. And then I don't write it down. I don't show other people how to do that part of the task. And then that means if somebody's onboarding and I'm that person that has to do all the onboarding, I can only onboard a certain amount of people at a time, if that's the case. So if I want to grow and I want to double how many people I'm working with, I have to let go of that and build myself out of the system, so that I can actually take a break or expand my capacity. And that leads into the next pitfall, which is no one can use the system but you. If it takes a 20-minute explanation for someone to follow it, it's not a system, it's a puzzle. And it's complexity. And complexity can make us feel smart, but simple is what actually scales. That is something last year I started working with a client who was just frustrated because she's telling me, hey, my team they're just not understanding how I do what I do. And it's just like I'm born with this innate knowledge of how to do this. I wish somebody would teach them. I'm like, well, you can. We just have to pull out of you what you know innately and what you have so much experience with it. It feels so organic and so natural. You don't have to think about it. We have to pull that out of you to allow your team to follow the system and not be puzzled by all this complexity that you make it feel like because you don't know how to explain what you do. And then the last pitfall here is, again, it ties right back to the top. It is the biggest one. You build the systems to get more done instead of to get your life back. Same tool, completely different outcome. You don't want to just be busier faster. This episode, this is always my fear when I start talking about systems. People are like, yeah, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. I'm going to buy this planner. I'm going to buy this tool. I'm going to set up Zapier. I'm going to set up MailerLite or whatever tools. And now they're just busier faster. And they're not getting back that energy, time, fulfillment, and expansion. They're contracting themselves even further and causing more deficit. So keep that in mind. So here's the heart of the episode here and where it gets good. And this is why I gave this whole word of systems a whole episode. Because systems are the only thing I know of that pay you back in all 4 areas of profit at the same time. Not one, all 4. It can give you all 4 every single time. So that profit in income, a system can give you more income, a system can give you more time, a system can give you more energy, and a system can give you more fulfillment. So those 4 words that I gave you at the top as well, they are also not separate from the 4 profits. The flexibility, scalability, sustainability, and abundance. They're all a part of that as well. So where the flexibility lives is in profit and time. That's an obvious one. A system takes something that costs you an hour every week and makes it cost only 15 minutes or nothing. So now my profit margin is 45 minutes for that same task that was an hour. I now am profiting 45 minutes. But that's not even the real win. The real win is the decisions. Every time you make the same decision over and over, that is costing you. A system makes the decision once and then it's just done. It's done. And I don't have to think about it. And decision fatigue is real, my friends. So stop it on the simple things that don't need to be decided on every single time. And that's flexibility. Because when the decisions are already made, you can actually move when something comes up. Because that decision is already made. Because that process is already clear. Because I understand my time flow. When something comes up, I can move and be flexible for it. And again, going back to the sprint seasons, you can spend a day rebuilding something and feel like you lost a whole day because you didn't serve anybody or make $1. But you run through it and think about the return of the impact instead of a return on hours. Not what did that day make me, but what did that day set up give me back? So if I did in a sprint season think through, oh man, I need to get prepared for growth that I want to have happen this coming fall. Maybe your goal is to add in 10 more clients or, triple your traffic, whatever it might be. If you take a time right now in a sprint to really lean into your systems, rebuild them in a day, you did not lose a day. You didn't. And may feel like that on your calendar, but your return impact is going to be so incredible. So really keep that in mind. Let's talk about profit and energy. This is where sustainability lives. So this is the one that people can miss a lot. It's because it's not the doing that drains you, it's the remembering. This is the energy depletion. It's holding 40 open loops in your head all day long and being afraid of them and afraid of that one is going to drop. It's constantly being your own worst nag. I really am the worst at the mean girl in my head, and she is not nice. I've given her many names, and I just like sometimes I just tell her I have to sit down and shut up because she likes to nag me. But because I didn't have a system, was constantly like, don't forget this, don't forget this, don't forget this, don't forget this. And because I did forget those things, now I built this lack of trust in my own subconscious that I did not believe myself when I wrote things down on a to-do list and then wrote that same thing on the to-do list the next day and the next week and the next month and never took it off the to-do list. My brain was like, girl, just because you wrote it down, it's definitely not going to happen. So we're going to nag you about it and keep you up all night just to remember things. Ugh, that's gross. Not good. So we need to remember that even if you have a light week on paper, you can still feel absolutely wrecked. You weren't doing much. You were just carrying everything in your mental energy. So systems can take it out of your head and put it somewhere, and that's sustainability. That's the difference between a pace you're surviving and a pace that you could actually hold next year. And then when it comes to profit and income, that's where the scalability lives. Two ways here. One, systems let you serve more people without adding more of you, which is literally the definition of scaling. And two, and no one likes to talk about this one, systems can catch the money you're leaking, meaning the invoices you forgot to send, the follow-up that never went out, the renewal no one tracked. That's not new business. That's just money you've already earned and didn't collect. It blew my mind when I was looking at a client at the beginning of the year when we realized how much she was losing per client because she didn't have a system in place for all the follow-up and nurturing for renewal and upsells that she could have been doing. Oh, it hurt my heart. So really have to pay attention. And then the third way is when your delivery runs on structure instead of how you feel that day, your client experience is much more pleasant. And it is also gives you that consistency feeling without having to be consistent. And consistency with a client, being able to deliver a great result or a great experience will get you referrals and renewals. And then the last part was profit and fulfillment. And this is where your abundance lives. When you build out a system, and again, this is why I opened the way I did. This is the business runs on structure instead of running on you being available. You actually get to be somewhere. You get to be present, not half at dinner and half with your phone under the table, or checking emails or panicking because a client texted you and you think, oh no, what did I forget? Because you don't trust yourself. So you really need to have these systems in place so that you can be in abundance, where you can be present for your senior who's graduating. You can be available to your kindergartner who's coming home from school and wanting to unpack his day and just get some extra hugs and love. Your schedule can allow it because it was built to allow it, not because things just happen to be slow, but because that will give you a whole other anxiety. And abundance is not the number in the account, the room. You cannot put a number on this in the P&L, but it's the thing I'm always the proudest of year over year. And it's the thing I've said on this show before is when I feel that abundance and that profitability and fulfillment, it doesn't matter what my hard bottom line number was, because I know that number is good because I'm confident in it, because I gave myself what I truly started this business to give me in the first place, which is that freedom of time, energy, and fulfillment. So here's your CEO action. Find the thing that broke the last time you were unavailable and give it a system. One thing. What's the thing that broke the last time you had your schedule disrupted by a kid, or you got sick, or you were on vacation and you totally forgot something, or something came up with a client, or whatever it might be? Fix that. But before you build anything, ask in this order. Should it exist at all? If it's yes, which I'm hopeful it is, yes. Does someone else need to own it? If it's still yours, okay, then build the system for you. If it's something someone else could eventually own, maybe not right now, build the system. If someone else needs to own it, you can also ask them to build the system for you. Most people skip straight to, I'm just going to build a system. And that's how you end up with a big, beautiful system for something you shouldn't have done in the first place. So put some time constraint on it. Set a timer, 2 hours. That's it. If it needs more than 2 hours, that's your sign. It might belong on the eliminate list or maybe an outsource get support list, which we're going to be talking about next week. And just on sprints for a second, if you've got a real sprint to run, put an end date on it now, because a sprint with no end date isn't a sprint. That's just your life now. Sprints, marathons, 4Ks, all these big things. I'm not a runner, but people who do run, they don't do that every day. They don't run all those miles every day. They normally run just a set amount of miles. And then that one day they go all in and then they train, right? So think of your systems that way and building it. Sometimes we got to go all in, do the big sprint, do the big marathon, get it done, and then stop. Go back to a reasonable, sustainable pace. And that's the contraction we talked about 2 weeks ago when we don't do that. So pick your word. Of those 4, flexibility, sustainability, scalability, abundance, which one is your business shortest on right now? And that's your starting part. And then think about the beliefs that you had. Be honest. And what beliefs do I need to shift? And then the breaking point, last time you were actually unavailable, what broke? That's your first system. And then put it on the calendar. Again, holding you accountable. And if you do it, tell me about it. If you can't, if you're like, I don't know what system to use, shoot me a message. Let's chat about it. Because it's really important not to get stuck in this mode of researching systems and thinking about it. Thinking about systems is great, but putting them into action is 100 times more profitable, okay? So next week, we're going to talk about support. So if you have a system and you don't know how to get it out there, or you don't know what system, or you built a system, but now you need somebody else to take it over, or whatever it might be, I'm going to be bringing in a special guest to talk about somebody who actually has done that, and their expertise is in helping people get support into place. One last call here for Ignite. It's getting close for our retreat. If you are thinking about, hey, I love all this, I want more, I want to spend specifically time away, CEO time away, so I can get the support I need to build this vision and bring it to life, DM me the word Ignite and let me know you want to hear more about the retreat. I do have one more spot open. So again, I'd love to see you there, see if it's a right fit for you, and be here next week to talk about support. Take care. Thanks for listening today. But here's the part where I step into my coaching shoes and remind you that listening was the easy part. And now your business is standing there with its arms crossed going, that's so sweet, but are you actually going to do this? So my challenge to you is pick one thing from today and do it this week. Only one. One is a big impact of action. And if that one thing is still unclear and you want to implement more, that's usually when people come and find me. The link to book a call is in the show notes. And also, if you really just love this episode and want to share it with a friend, I'd love for you to share it on social media. Tag me at Lonnie J. Jackson and tell me what you got from today. So are we actually going to do this? Yeah, we are, girl. Let's go.